All right, we're live now. I had two waiting. I apologize for you people having to wait. I had to, man. This transmission was brought to you by duct tape and bubble gum, but mostly paracord. God, dog, I broke my tripod. I had to lace. I had to cut paracord, pull the strands out, lace it between the bottom of the tripod. It's just one of those things, man. Patch and repair. Um, I'll have to get another one. So this segment of this transmission, this is brought to you. You come now. Oh man, that's funny. The supreme leader must have I'm talking, look, mushrooms, pepperoni, olives. Yeah, I'm supposed to have a meeting. That's hilarious, Icon. I appreciate that, by the way. Yes, I'm very wanted, I'm sure. No, he's got bigger fish to fry. There's a guy that's after him full time. That's mad because he killed his friend in jail. His friend was his lawyer, and it's a big thing, you know. And so he'll be the next to go. I'm like probably fifth in line. No big deal. I'm over here. I don't go over there. Anyways, yeah, yeah. There's stuff going on where, oh, man, where do I start? So back to the thing with the camera thing, just for a second. I was trying to go live and trying to get things worked out, and then I seen a couple other things that kind of ticked me off, and I've added some things to this. The reason I put that picture up of those rusty ass submarines is because they're actually taking some of the older subs and trying to refit them with they're trying to turn them into Losharics in a way with the bulb style thing. They think it's great. So they're like going to make a bunch of them, and they're trying to sell them to India. India is not so happy after seeing that they're not safe. And hang on a second here. By the way, I'm sitting here doing this, man. Look, I bring it to you for real, people. That's the decibel meter. That's how I know that I'm not going to be able to Spotify my music is what I do. I keep my truck not running, but I'm going to turn this down. So, turn this, oh, if I can kill the bass some more. It's difficult to do so they don't give me copyright infringement. I really mess with AI by hitting the bass too. So we will do that later in the transmission. Turn it about right there for right now. Let's see here. We said playing with yeah, that's no good. That's no good, man. So they're going to have to figure out. I'm not into that, so they're going to lose on that one. Here's what we got. Not needed. Send back is okay. Vodka's nasty too. Hey, I don't know, man. There's some level stuff that's okay, but the rock gut stuff they got over there, I think they, man, you got to be a full-on alcoholic to drink that, you know. But anyway, what else is there to do over there except for drink vodka and watch submarines rust, right? So here's what happened. They wanted to take a video of Russia took a video, and it's a state propaganda channel thing, a news place that they own and run, and they decided they wanted to make fun of the parade that Trump had. And I liked the parade. I watched some of it. I'm gonna watch it later with some popcorn, man. I'm gonna sit back and chill and enjoy it, when I can. But they took a video of the parade and said that they were rusty tanks and this and that. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So let's touch on that for just a second, okay? And I'm gonna give their propaganda its due moment in the sun. And then we're gonna look at the hypocrisy of it when there's 52 subs sitting containing nuclear fuel, rusting dockside, okay? And you're talking about the equivalent of 90 nuclear reactors is sitting being stored at one place and it's leaking. You got about 25 miles from the Norwegian borders where that place is, Zapadnaya Lista. Okay, yeah, they're storing the equivalent of 90 nuclear reactors of nastiness, and it's unused waste, nuclear waste. They dropped. By the way, that's not just the only sub that they've got in the water. They've got one that's 16,000 foot down. They've got, and it's leaked in recent years. I want to say there's there's one that's 6,000 feet down. That's the Komsomolets, Komsomolets. That's sunk in the Barents Sea. So while they're out there in the Barents Sea, if they get something deep enough, go down about 6,000 feet, because we know your sub goes about 20,000 feet now, because the guy told it the other day that it went down 20,000 feet. We'll give them 19, and maybe they won't implode. But and India doesn't trust them anyhow, so they're fixing to probably lose that contract. That was the ink's still wet on that one, is the way the lady said it, but in the news. But anyhow, that Komsomolets, yeah, they kept that a secret for years until the breakup of the USSR, Soviet Union. So they've got all kinds of subs leaking, nuclear waste. They're rusting. They got places, all of their storage facilities are full for nuclear waste. So they're all leaking and not maintained. And the ones that are sitting there leaking, the entire reactor and all the fuel on it is still on that ship, on those ships sitting there rusting in the water, not far from other countries. So for them to talk about us having rusty tanks, clean up your mess first before you make fun of something that actually runs. Because for real, that's why the picture on the video, I put that up. That's just for them. Yeah, look at your rusty shit, and then don't talk to us about ours. So, and ours isn't leaking nuclear material. It's driving down the street. And then so if it's some rust on it, it's because it's been doing some work, and we get weather. But we'll maintain it. We're on top of our stuff. Y'all, going back, don't be a hypocrite. Especially when you got, like I said, the equivalent of 90 nuclear reactors being stored that's leaked in recent years, and you got 52 subs sitting with contaminating nuclear fuel rusting dockside. Man, should I really go in there and start naming off every single sub that's sunk out there in the Barents Sea and out in the ocean that's got nuclear waste on it and all that? They have a container ship that's designed to clean that mess up and put it in. Maybe they need to put it to work, but I don't know. Instead of messing with undersea lines and jacking around. And they've been off our coast, people. Y'all ready for that intel? Not just around England. And it was in the news. I don't want to talk about it till it's in the news, and it's in the news. So it's like, yeah, okay, well, we'll show that too. So let's talk about that. Oh, and 507 actual Russian sailors, 507 of them have died in the last 40 years on board submarine accidents. So not even like a wartime thing. So yeah, I don't talk about our parade. I dig the parade. Okay, it's a morale booster. We dig it. And if there's rust on something, we'll get it taken care of. Thank you for noting it. If there was, I don't think there was. I gotta watch it. Talking about rusty stuff. Anyways, we're gonna go back in time for a second though, because this is the Kursk disaster, and I want to explain a few things. First off, they had battery problems with a rescue sub. Okay, and it went down. It could only go down for a little bit. I got this video here of that. And then they had to use a couple of different countries, or anything but America, right, to help them to raise it and all this, and they wouldn't let our even England go down with their subs and stuff until later. And then they went down, and they, okay. So going a little forward from that, it was decided that the UN should work. Appreciate it, CJ Blaze. What's up? It was decided that we should work with Russia, with the UN. Like and share it. Appreciate it. It was decided that we should work with Russia, and after the Kursk disaster, we should give them a way to lift up their sub, because those are sailors. Just like we have sailors, they're out there in the ocean. We should help them when they have a disaster like that. And it should, and Russia, off the bat, they fired the one general who said it was American torpedo that did it because it didn't, and another one that stood in the way of anybody helping from England or America, and another one. There was 3 people that were fired that were high-ranking people. So that was a good faith effort on their part, and that was good. So the UN got together and they said, hey, can we do an exercise and work with a Russian vehicle? Well, not in your waters. Come on down this way and we'll put something on board your sub. It'd be a mini sub and you'll have a decent mini sub. It worked with their electronics. Everything worked. And we're like, here, hey, if you need to save us at some point, you might need to save us underwater. If we need to save you, we'll save you underwater. If we are not at war, we will help each other, and we need to do that because sailors are sailors, right? I dig that. So the reason I brought that up and the reason I'm going to show that video is simply because you don't need to think that the Losharic and those other subs are for anything except for espionage, spying, and putting down mines on the seafloor. It's seabed warfare. They don't even answer to their Navy. They answer directly to the head of the government over there. So they don't need them for that, and you'll never hear what they do because it's not a humanitarian effort. It's not Jacques Cousteau, 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They're not going under there and promoting peace and planting the unified UN flag. They're going down there. And another thing too, they probably at this point, I was going to bring this up in another video and we'll talk about it, but at this point they probably have an off switch for the internet down their hook to the damn lines. That's just the truth of it. That's just the truth of it. And I'm not talking about something that would, just a mine. I'm talking switch it off, then switch it back on when they want to. Okay? So we'll get into that in another video. That's a whole nother story. But for right now, I want to show this where their sub batteries were no good. And then these new ones have battery problems. They're taking old rusty ships and trying to make them into like Losharics, but they're taking everything they can and making like that. That's their new thing. They've got a fleet of them. They got lots of them. And they're all towed under another sub, so they can't tell that they're there. And they're saying that they've seen them off the coast of the U.S. So I'm going to get into this. This is going to be a little deep discussion here, because then we'll get into Iran, and then we'll get into other stuff. I want to show this real quick, though. If I can get the audio set up. So, give me just a sec to click this over. I wanted to say all that to get into this.
Hours after the sinking that an emergency is declared. The Northern Fleet has rescue submersibles in nearby ports, whose mission it is to rescue stranded submariners by diving down and locking onto the escape hatch of the stricken sub. One of these submersibles, the Priest, is finally loaded.
That's their one that has the battery issues.
But Russian rescue vessels have also been the victims of Russian budget cuts.
I'm trying to work this audio out.
Sunday, August 13th, 5:20 p.m. Nearly 30 hours after the Kursk went to the bottom,
down a little bit.
The Priest at last dives to attempt a rescue. The submersible relies on very crude thrusters to position her over the Kursk.
Let me fix this video now.
Are hopelessly outdated and will allow only a short time to attempt the rescue. In spite of the limitations, the crew of the Priest come close to locking on to the Kursk.
Okay.
But their attempts fail, and they are forced to return to the surface to recharge batteries.
It is
sadly apparent that the little Russian sub is not equipped to bring the men of Kursk back to the surface.
Okay.
They were well manned.
Oh, well.
By very professional, very proud, in fact, very courageous men. But they couldn't fight the inadequate engineering, the inadequate repair work, the inadequate maintenance that hadn't been done for many, many years.
All right.
Alternatives to the obsolete.
So I'm going to stop right there. So understand that they have that sub that went down on the Kursk. I appreciate the likes. That went down on the Kursk to try a rescue mission. It was down there for like 5 minutes and then came up. I mean, like, that's the time. I mean, I don't know the exact time. That's the way they were saying it was. It wasn't even enough time to do anything. It had to return and then they just gave up. Okay. That's the technology they have for that. Panasonic, they are not. They got issues with the batteries. I was talking about, Sears maybe has better batteries. I was joking the other day. It was Die Hard. That's what I was thinking of, by the way. So if Cameron, if you're checking this out, Die Hard, maybe they need to get some Die Hard batteries. Here's the thing. because they're under sanctions, they can't deal with certain places. We are the major manufacturers of batteries. Other places, you know, they do have a battery that actually they designed. I think South Korea came up with a battery that was lithium, and that was to be used on submarines and stuff. And it's a new technology thing. But anyhow, oh, okay, that was all me. I did that. I was not cut off. Listen, they did not go down and cut my transmission lines. Okay, no buffer. I hit the button. That was all me, people. No, the Russians did not hack my stuff. I hacked my own stuff, okay? I shave my own worst enemy every morning in the mirror. I see him in the mirror every morning when I shave. So let's see. I'm gonna get this comment. Let's see. Everybody's thinking they cut him off. I'm gonna be famous for being cut off. Oh, and I'm just gonna bring this up. Speaking of that, this is really funny. Okay. I appreciate all the help for all the shares and stuff, because CBS News, CBSN put up a video that was 30-something seconds long. I could just about show it to you, but I'll put it in the links. And they now have 6,000 views. Okay. They didn't know what was going on, couldn't tell anything. My video's got like 9,000 views now. I think it's about 10,000. They're showing it like 8,000 and a half of the Give Me Real numbers. I'm about 10,000 views on a video. So I've got more views than a major news service. So that's kind of awesome. So I'm just bringing the truth. So, hey, share all my stuff. And they should come back and look at the other stuff, because there's more to, you know, what I know here. Anyways, got a couple comments here. Bamboo, let's see, would not want to be on a sub anyway, no way. Yeah, they are having those people, even the mother that was up there and tried to yell, and she wound up being like a hero for that. They come over, they walk over, and this lady walks over and puts a needle in her back and gives her a nice, relaxing, what you would call a, let's see, a shot in her back. So just for speaking out, just for saying anything. I don't know if that's on this video or not. I'll have to look at it.
Management does not have.
But I got comments here, and I apologize for that was me. They didn't cut it. So yeah. All right. Anyways, yeah, there's like there's a lot to it to get into. So that was about the battery situation, and I've got let's see, makes me think of the movie K-19 with the Moodlemaker, all this Russian sub activity. Yeah, they're all over the East Coast too, people. Our coast, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so like I said, I was going to show this real quick if I could. If I can find this certain spot, may not be able to. It would be great if I could. Where that woman stood up and they put a shot in her, just for, I got to show that because I talked about it. Now I got to find it. People, you see what you do to me. So give me a second here. I'll find it. We'll turn some music on for a second here, and then I'll get this worked out. 2 seconds, because I've got all of this on a playlist. I just have to find the correct one. And that was the Kursk, though, to go forward. So you see they have battery issues. That going forward, you'll understand why, that since they're under sanctions and they're actually low on money. Their budget used to be something like 120 billion. Now I know in like 2011 or something like that, it was like 3 billion. Even if they're putting money towards it, they're trying to make more rockets. Okay. But they won't talk about something rusting. Well, there's one of them down at the bottom of the Barents Sea y'all been looking for that's rusting at this point. So don't, you know, let's see here. And then they're, oh yeah, you know what? And they're saying that they even faked the video of the new hypersonic defense thing, like it might not even be hypersonic. But let's see here. This is what we did for them. No, everybody got together and said, hey, it's a good idea to do this. This is the sub that was built. So I want you to understand that there is actually, let me go to Bluetooth. There is actually a sub for rescuing them if they get in trouble again. Okay. So they don't need to act like or make you think that the Losharic is for that. I don't know where the volume's at. Let's see, give it about 19. Let's see what happens with this here. Go all the way from the start.
British rescue teams are taking part in a major international
This was
exercise practicing the recovery of stricken
after
submarines
the Kursk,
disaster
so we're
at
talking
sea.
a while back.
Exercise
They've
Bold
had
Monarch
this.
off Spain's southeast coast is the first NATO training drill to involve a Russian submarine. Russia's involvement comes nearly 11 years after 118 of its sailors died aboard the Kursk when it crashed to the bottom of the Barents Sea in August 2000. Kaya Lark has been meeting the Russian submariners.
It was a sight both feared and sought during the Cold War, but today this Russian submarine is the guest of honour as it learns to work alongside NATO in the Mediterranean. This is Exercise Bold Monarch, and old enemies are now friends. And we've been granted exclusive access inside the Al Rosa. This is the control room of the Al Rosa Russian submarine. We are the first foreign journalists ever to be allowed to film on board. Although this is a NATO rescue exercise, it's also an opportunity for Russia to show it's put the past behind it. The submarine is one of 4 taking part in the biggest rescue exercise in the world. It's the first time the Russians have brought their underwater assets to a NATO training session. And when this Italian yellow submarine rescue vessel mated with the Al Rosa and carried out a mock rescue a few days ago, it made history by being the first non-Russian machine to do so.
Of course, this is a very historical moment because it was the first time that a NATO rescue equipment was able to mate with a submarine from the Russian Federation, and it confirmed that our systems are both compatible.
This exercise was created as a direct result of the sinking of the Kursk on the 12th of August 2000.
The results of
So it's about
the
2011.
Kursk accident in the Barents Sea, it wasn't just a loss of people for the loss of Russian people, but a loss of people from all over the world, basically. What we wanted to see during this exercise, and we have seen, is that our systems are compatible with NATO systems, and that regardless of which country ends up providing us assistance, that our systems will be compatible and be able to help one another.
Для меня это очень интересный эпизод в моей жизни.
For me, it was a very interesting episode in my life because I've never participated in such a large exercise as this. And I know that now, while I'm here in the Mediterranean, I feel safe and feel confident that it won't only be the Russian Federation that provides assistance to my submarine in case of emergency, but also NATO rescue systems as well.
Отлично.
The Russians also have 4 surface ships here. The Epron is the only one of its class still in service. It's the country's premier rescue ship. On board, its own rescue chamber, which has been in operation since 1964.
This is why I want to play it this far.
And for the first time, it too has been mating with NATO submarines. Whilst this is almost 50 years old, Russia is also investing in some of the most high-tech equipment too. The atmospheric diving suits cost $2.5 million each, and this ship has 2.
We're rescuers, and we always want to know how and learn how better to rescue.
All right, so check this out.
And not only
that's how they rescue people, not with a sub outfitted with claws and things that'll cut and dropping mines on the ocean floor and that kind of thing. So, and these guys are part of the Russian Navy. Those Losharic, those mini subs, those only I'm trying to think of the word here, but they will report directly to I guess you'd say kind of like the Kremlin, but you know, whatever they're running over there now. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the name of that service. Anyways, it'd be directly to the Russian government, basically to the president, and not to the Navy. So they're super secret spy ships, okay? And they're designed, yeah, they're messing with your head. Yeah, they are, man. I'm telling you, they're sending transmissions to, making me hit my own button. They told me to turn it off. That's why. So going further from here, then they of course they raised the Kursk, okay? And I'm gonna check something out real quick here, if I can find. This is where India, let's see here, CGTN. I want to say that that's the one. Should be.
Russia's defense ministry
No,
says...
this is something else. I want you to listen to exactly what this guy says about the nuclear part of it, about whether it's leaking or not. Okay? All right. I want you to listen to this guy right here as soon as I can get it straight. To his words, he says that Putin sent his guy up there to be sure that the nuclear reactor is contained. The word contained is very telling. You don't have to worry about nuclear containment unless there's a nuclear leak. Let this man talk, though. I'm going to turn the volume up.
Russia's defense ministry says fire in the battery compartment is the main cause for a submarine fire, which left 14
Keep
dead.
saying fire, not explosion.
President Vladimir Putin said the military submarine is nuclear-powered and called on the defense minister to make sure that the submarine's nuclear reactor be contained.
And the A stands for
The
atomic.
defense ministry said the
Contained.
vessel was carrying out
Let's play that
deepwater
part again.
scientific research near the
Deepwater
Arctic on
scientific,
Monday.
man.
Reactor
Hold on.
be contained.
Contained. Okay, let's let him say, but I want to say something real quick. Okay, so why would it have to be contained if there's not an issue, and why do they keep pushing fire whenever the picture I saw showed damage not conducive to a fire? Because titanium melts at about 3,000 something degrees, steel's at 13 to 1,500 degrees. That's if that steel is not under cold water. Under cold water, it'd take a lot more than that to blow out. So listen, I'll say again, it'll say contained.
Nuclear reactor be contained. The defense ministry said the vessel was carrying out deepwater scientific research.
I take what I see on the news, especially Russian news, and say, oh, okay. And they're pretty good with translating, but that guy was an English-speaking person who was made to read off. That was the goal of that guy to go up there, was to make sure it's contained. All right. Which is why they called the Norway nuclear facility that looks for any kind of leaks. Let's go further here. Now, this is, let's see here. I'll go to where, if I can find it real quick, where India, let's see, that's some Al Jazeera English mess, and that was about that. Let's see, WION, is that it? Yeah. This is from India. Okay. The India just made a deal with them for, I think it was billions of dollars worth of subs and other stuff, and they're questioning the safety of it because of the battery incident that I brought up with the, what happened with the submersible that couldn't go after the Kursk, and what happened with the Losharic with its batteries just catching on fire, and it's supposed to be fairly new. They're questioning whether these subs are even worth buying and the safety of them. So,
when more and more details emerge about something, there is more and more mystery. I'm not talking about the murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I'm talking about the fire-hit Russian submarine. 3 days after the accident which killed 14 sailors, Russia's President Vladimir Putin says that the submarine was nuclear-powered.
That's what the A stands for, is atomic, with a K. The AS-12, atomic, sub, 12. Well, they might not even say sub, but...
И далее он получил некое распространение сюда. Целиком. Работает группа с привлечены конструктора лодки промышленности для того, чтобы оценить.
I've seen this like 5 times, and the subtitles basically is he's saying, I'm asking you to go check out what's going on. He did it all in front of cameras. It's all a big thing to let the people of Russia know. They probably played on repeat that they're doing something, because he was seen as not doing something during the Kursk. So this is all just a photo op kind of thing. He could have told him to go up there and then got on TV and said, I told him to go up there, but they're doing all this on camera just for political reasons in their country. So the people don't think they're not doing anything.
The That sounds like
Here we go.
self-explanatory. Russia has identified the reason for the fire. They're assessing the volume of repair. The nuclear power unit is working. So what is the secrecy, you may ask? Well, here's where the story gets trickier. Why did Russia keep a lid on the fire for 3 days? Why did Moscow not disclose that the submarine carried a nuclear power unit? These are serious questions, and these questions lead to another more serious one.
On that, the reason they didn't want to say that it was nuclear powered is because they reported it in a way just to one country to test for nuclear radiation that might be leaking out of it. That country said, well, we didn't find any extreme levels, but of course there's levels from Chernobyl and all this, but there's also that. So I think he was just being smart as the way he answered it, but also he could have been detecting levels from it, and they may have even been trying to pull up, or maybe even they retrieved, but I think they're still fishing for that nuclear powered missile. It's a nuclear missile, but it didn't have a warhead on it, but the power itself, the whole thing might as well have been the same thing as a warhead. Probably had more nuclear material on it than a warhead would, because it was nuclear powered, that they lost because they fired off 4 of them. One of them lasted 4 seconds, one of them lasted 5 seconds, one of them lasted 20 or 22 seconds, and it's the one that's in the Barents Sea, and they've lost it. So they've lost a nuclear missile, and that's what I did the other video on. So I'll let them go further, but it was because they didn't want anybody else testing or knowing what's going on about that sub so they could contain it. Then he sent his guy up there to contain it. Why they got to contain it if it wasn't leaking?
What was the mission of the submarine?
What was the mission?
There are similarities. Those of you who are old enough to remember Chernobyl will even point at the similarity of the secrecy. For 2 days, neighboring country Norway kept pressing Russia for answers, but Moscow did not budge. Until today, when it said, all is well. Reports from the Russian media are alarming. Russian media outlet RBC quoted military sources and said that the submarine was an AS-12, and if that indeed is true, then the ramifications may be huge.
With a K.
AS-12 is typically powered by a nuclear reactor, and it is designed to carry out special operations at extreme depths. The nickname of the submarine is Losharic. So we return to the one basic question of journalism, the question of what? What was the submarine's mission? What was it doing where it was? Fortunately, Norway did not detect any abnormal radiation, and Russia's statements are in line with that. It seems there is no nuclear leak, which is good news, but the suspense remains. After all, this incident is the biggest fire incident on a submarine in almost 2 decades. Russia's submarine activities have been very dodgy over the years. The Pentagon says that Russian submarines and spy ships are increasingly active in the ocean off the American coastline.
Did y'all hear that part?
When all these questions were asked, Russia remained tight-lipped. It mourned the loss of the sailors.
I'm going to play that part again,
as heroes.
just in case anybody missed that. Listen, they say they were off the American coastline.
Russia's submarine activities have been very dodgy over the years. The Pentagon says that Russian submarines and spy ships are increasingly active in the ocean off the American coastline. When all these questions were asked, Russia remained tight-lipped. It mourned the loss of the sailors, even hailed them as heroes.
Off the American coastline.
Критической ситуации моряки-подводники действовали геройски.
So I'm going to turn him down because, look, they're off the American coastline disturbingly. A bunch of them is what they're saying, and they're saying that they're even likely messing with our cables on our side. Like putting limpet mine or some kind of mine, underwater mine that they can remotely access later that will actually come up in level or just blow up where it's at or remotely be blown up. And they probably have an on-off switch for the internet under there. I was going to bring it up in a different video, but they probably have in several places. Now, I'm going to pause this and I'll go back to what she said, and I'll rewind it here so we don't miss anything. Check this out. Check this out. Okay. Recently, several different weird internet outages have happened. And they have had a problem where when YouTube went down, I want to say it was a section from our East Coast going over towards Europe. That would mean undersea transmission cables. I don't care what you say. I think that in a room full of breakers, if you had a breaker box like you have in your house or a light switch, in a room full of light switches, I think Russia's going down turning something off, listening to the internet to say, hey, what did they say just went out? And they're finding out which transmission line connects which websites, or major telephone communications companies, to see which one that they would put the switch on first. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to talk about that. I don't want to make it easy for somebody else to have ever done that, if they ever did. However, it could be disrupted and it could be turned back on and off and on and off at their will. It's not even about physically cutting them. So it would interrupt service. That's all I'm going to say about that. So here's the thing. Have they already cut it off the East Coast? Have they already hooked up everything what they want to? They're definitely sending back and transmissions that they're going to be able to know what's going through any communications lines going over to Europe, period. And they could use a mine in the event of war, or in the event of not war. They can just they're not trying to escalate it to war. They want to do everything but war. They want to push the envelope as far as they can, and it's all about them making money for their country too. So if it makes them money, they could intercept things and trade their own stuff on the stock market instead of letting those transmissions go through, and use insider trading on it. There's a lot of things they could do with this. One thing is they could just turn off our internet. So that's why all these phishing attacks too, to gain control of our systems, to take over our comms. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check out. Let's see. I've missed a couple of comments here. See, I'm messing with my head. Let's see. CJ, I know how you feel about the internet. Let's see. Wow, they just check Ohio. What am I asking? Okay, so hold on a second here. Let me try to find where I stopped off at here.
When a submarine
I believe it was at the end of this.
Save their comrades and
But evidently, the Pentagon has told India that it's okay to put this up, that they were off our East Coast with these little subs they got.
something doesn't add up. When a submarine catches fire, the crew's fight for survival pips the crew's fight to save the submarine.
Right.
And that's just plain common sense, especially for a country that suffered the
It was an
Chernobyl tragedy.
explosion.
Besides the questions
It
of
killed
the
'em
mission,
quick.
there are other important questions, and they're relevant for India. Chakra, also called Akula 2, Sindhu Ghosh, Charlie class. These are some of the Russian submarines bought by India, and they're still in service. A few months ago, India and Russia inked a deal for a nuclear submarine, and the deal was worth $3 billion.
$3 billion.
The ink on that deal has barely dried, but now with the submarine fire accident, there are questions being asked about the safety of Russian submarines.
You see?
Putin can very well say that there is no reason to be alarmed. He can even take 3 days to tell the world that the submarine was nuclear powered. But should the buyers of Russia not be bothered about the safety of what they buy, and that too when those goods come for billions of dollars? Leaving you with that question.
So, having said that, they want to make fun of our parade and say that we had rusty stuff. And I'm not even going to show that video because it's propaganda, but I'll put the link up to it. They want to make fun of our military equipment that's rolling down the street. They got leaking, radioactive, nuclear subs out there in a port, rusting, fully laden with all that. They have no more storage. It's all full. All their storage is full for radioactive materials. And they also have plenty of them at the bottom of the Barents Sea. So somebody's going to have to make me see how that's not being a hypocrite, or just they don't need to be talking. They don't even need to talk. And the missile that they just built, that's supposed to be their pride and joy, is supposed to be everything feared. It goes around everything and can fly nuclear, is in the bottom of the Barents Sea. What? Rusting. So let's not talk about rust. Even the companies that are talking about buying your stuff are not. Now they're talking about not buying your stuff. All right, let's go further. I've got a couple other things here I'll put on. They've lost their minds. And then, so today being the day, do I need to go any more into this? Do I have any more links for this? Other than the fact that They called it, they said rusty tanks and IFVS. So, yeah, whatever. Oh, and this, I will show this because they're saying, did Russia doctor a video? Is this doctor? It's supposed to be hypersonic. I'm gonna turn this down. It's supposed to be hypersonic flight, but is it fake? Like, did it even go that fast? Or because it went so fast from red to black smoke. I'll put a link up to this. Right here, wait, right here. It jumps, it goes to black smoke, and then something up above it's added. They've been modifying videos. Do they not have fast photography? They got fast missiles, but how would they see if it even flew? Missing frame. They chopped that in there. They made it faster. They're showing all their missiles taking off, but they can't show them flying because they keep crashing. So they'll show the how many 20 seconds of flight, and oh, look at that, and then that's it. So, well, that was okay. They went into it again, but they were showing 70% mixed, 100% mixed. So no worries. I'll put a link up to this. Anyways, so they're even using that and all their propaganda. That was Al Jazeera. I'll put a link up to it, but it says Iran plays diplomatic hardball on the eve of enrichment. See, they've already passed the point. It's all about them having, more than 300 kilograms, which is 660 pounds of uranium enriched at 90%. Really, 20 to 93% is enriched, but 90% is weapons grade. And what they're doing is this is not peaceful stuff. They're taking low enriched uranium, which is higher than normal found, uranium from the environment, and bringing it up to highly enriched, and then going to use it for weapons. They've even said they're going to use it for weapons. And we don't have to worry about it because Israel has got a good track record of just going and taking out reactors. So that will likely be next. You'll hear about it in the news, and we'll be like, what did they do? And yeah, they did. So it's almost like they have a switch on their airplanes that says, from shooting at a enemy to reactor, switch it up to reactor and attack that. I'm telling you, that's how good they are. So let's see here. I did have another link I could show real quick. Let's see where I'm at here. I will have to find it, but let's see here. That's Al Jazeera English. That's no good. Let me find that other in my history. And I want to say one was Fox News. I'll have to take a look real quick. This will take me about a half a second. Let's see, U.S. Marine military high alert. No. Let's see. This was let's see, why it matters on there. That's MSNBC. I'll see if that's the one I wanted to play. I'm not sure.
It typically has less than 1% of the isotope U-235, known as a fissile isotope necessary for nuclear fission. The raw ore is then processed.
But you know what? I could play this.
One of the most efficient ways to do that.
I'm trying to think, is this the one I was going to play or not? Let's see. But I know that the date is today, which is Sunday, and that's the one I wanted to play. I think this is just a breakdown of all that. Let me see. Not to get too technical. Breaches nuclear the deal. Let's see. Okay, we could play this because it's all about the deal that I wanted to talk about that they breached. And other countries are going to now come out of that deal too because they've already broke it. And because they're mad because Britain took their backdoor bootleg wool.
Officially in violation of the nuclear deal that it struck with 6 countries and the European Union.
Yes, they've already broke
exceeding
it.
the limit on how much low enriched uranium it can produce, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency. This news comes more than a year after President Trump announced that the United States would exit the multilateral agreement, putting harsh sanctions back on Iran. So let's look at enriched uranium and why it matters. Natural uranium coming from mines typically has less than 1% of the isotope, U-235, known as a fissile isotope necessary for nuclear fission. The raw ore is then processed to extract the uranium. Now, one of the most efficient ways to do that is using centrifuges to spin the raw uranium at supersonic speeds, allowing the U-235
And we allowed them to have,
separate out from
hold
the
on a
rest.
second.
Now, this separated...
We allowed them to have a limit of like 5,060 of those centrifuges, the same ones that got spun up. So, and if they turn them on, will they spin up again? Well, we'll find out. But we allowed them to have 5,060 of these things. And the only reason, like there is, I guess, some reason for them to want to have some enriched uranium, but the only reason you'd want weapons grade is to make a weapon, because the reaction between the uranium, probably plutonium, whatever else they want to use, not to get into it and give you a recipe book or nothing, but whatever it is that is necessary to make a bomb, that's what they're interested in. That is their only interest. There's no civilian use for weapons grade freaking uranium, and that's what they're going for. And they know it's something that they're going to try to hold over our head and say this and that, but Israel will never let there be, and we can't really let there be a nuclear Iran. It just can't happen.
Uranium is called enriched uranium, and its use depends on the level of enrichment. Low enriched uranium, defined as being below 5% purity, is used in nuclear power reactors. Enriching uranium between 20 and 93% allows it to be used in research reactors. And once uranium is enriched to 90% or more, it is suitable for use in nuclear weapons. So remember, what we're talking about in Iran here is on the left of your screen, low enriched uranium. It's power reactor uranium. In 2015, the Iran nuclear deal, known as the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, required Iran to ship all of its enriched uranium out of the country, getting raw uranium in return. Iran could then process that uranium ore, but it was limited to 660 pounds or less of the low enriched uranium. That's relevant because that's 300 kilograms. And as a way to limit the processing, the country was restricted to just 5,060 centrifuges to enrich the mineral. Joining me now is Richard Haas. He's the president of the Council on Foreign Relations and NBC News' Tehran bureau chief, Ali Arouzi. Ali, let me start with you. Why is Iran now doing something that is in violation of the nuclear deal when, until today, if I'm not mistaken, they have been able to say that they have lived up to their obligations under the treaty, under the Iran deal?
To start some mess.
That's right, Ali. Up until today, Iran had held back from breaching its commitments under the nuclear deal. It was a policy here that they had described as strategic patience. They knew that America had come out of the deal, that there was probably very little return for America coming back to the deal, but they wanted to see what they could get out of the Europeans. They wanted to see if the Europeans could shield them from U.S. sanctions, could allow them to sell their oil, their most important commodity, on the open market. It's become clear to the Iranians now, especially after a meeting in Vienna on Friday, that the Europeans really can't come up with the goods. They put in a special purpose vehicle called Instex to allow some humanitarian aid into Iran.
And then
Iran
they said they didn't want it.
That's just not simply enough. A credit line of a couple of $1 million is not going to cut it for this country.
They used to play
so
with
that
billions.
strategic patience has now run out, and I think the strategy strategy here has changed from a defensive one to an offensive one. Now, this was the first step the Iranians are putting on the Europeans to try and turn things around in a very short period of time. It's not a huge breach, but it's a provocative breach. The next important milestone we have to look out for, Ali, is this coming Sunday. Iran said by Sunday that they are now going to ramp up their production of enriching uranium. If they decide to take that above that 20% threshold, which is so important, because going from what you talked about, that less than 1% to 20% is very difficult. Once you pass the 20% threshold, then you're on a very, very short path to the levels of uranium you need for a nuclear bomb. Now, Iran says they don't want one, but world power said, look, that's where the danger is. We don't want Iran to get past that 20%.
Now, I'm going to say something real quick. I'm going to roll this window up. Dude's coming up. Noise bombing me over here on the left. So, check this out. All right. Here's the problem. Iran has been, for a long time, pumping all their money into proxy fighters that are fighting United States and coalition forces, that our people are getting shot from that money. That is their supply line. These proxy fighters that Iran has, the last thing we would want for them to have is the ability to send nuclear weapons over to them, to them. And also, just the money alone that they send is a ridiculous amount. They got armies and armies and armies that they're calling proxy fighters. So that's why they don't even want to really admit to the Revolutionary Guard until it's to their benefit as being their people. But they're out there causing trouble. So they've already broke this. Next thing you'll hear is Israeli planes took out a reactor. That's just how that's going to go. There's just no other way around this. And then we'll see what happens after that. And so they've already on purpose built up more uranium than they were supposed to have. I'll play the rest of this for a sec here.
If Iran suddenly announces on Sunday that they are going to go beyond the 20%, then I think the nuclear deal is over. UN sanctions will snap back onto Iran,
they said
and we are going to be in a very, very dangerous position. And I don't think we're going off that course, Ali. All the signs that I see in Iran is that they want to pursue now a very hard policy.
Ali Arouzi, our man in Tehran, thank you for that. Richard, until now, there were a lot of our allies who were in the deal who were arguing for maintaining the deal. They were not in favor of the U.S. position of pulling out of the deal. Does this make it harder for everybody else who was in that deal, for our European allies, to argue on behalf of staying in or maintaining or fixing some kind of a deal now that Iran has taken this step?
It makes it somewhat harder because this now refocuses attention around the world on Iran, even though there will be those in Europe and elsewhere who are going to argue, Ali, that the United States set in motion this chain of events. But we're back to a couple of options. One is, as you suggested, or Ali suggested, increased sanctions. There's always the option, though not a very attractive one, of using military force. There's a possibility of new diplomacy, where we could take the old agreement and try to amend it in certain ways and see if that would work. What the Iranians are obviously hoping is that this will frighten the world and that some of the world will basically move away from living up to U.S. sanctions.
Well, Richard, a lot of people say President Trump probably doesn't want a war with Iran, and he's got some advisors, at least around him, who would recommend against that. What's your worst case scenario here?
My worst case scenario is either this leads ultimately to some military action on our part, or I can imagine another scenario where this is simply one of the many ways Iran is pushing back. They keep shooting at drones. Maybe this or that missile is fired by one of the militias in the region that are close to them. But sooner or later they do something, whether with their nuclear program or militarily, where the United States feels it can't hold back like the president did the other day, and then we react militarily, and then we're basically off to the races. And what we would suddenly find that a lot of the Middle East would become part of a war, not simply Iranian territory, but all over the region.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
Check it out. That was a $2 million drone, by the way. Some people say $100 million. Somebody, 180 million, whatever. Or I'm sorry, 1.8 or whatever. It's about $2 million drone. Right at it. So let's see here. I want to make sure I covered the other thing here to the nth, and then I'll get into something else real quick. Let us see. You make some comments if you want to. I'll be just a second here doing this, like a half a second. Yep. Okay. Let's see. And I'll try to later put up links to all this. It'll be later today that I'll put up links to where Israel took out, well, they took out Iraq's reactor. They took out, what was it, Syria's reactor, I believe it was. They just, I'm telling you, they got a switch on their bombers, or I'm sorry, their fighting jets, their fighter jets. They've got a switch on there that, switches down for if you're fighting aircraft, and switch up if you're hitting out reactors. That's how good they are. Let's see here. Yeah. So, let's see here. One second here. I'm checking on one other thing here. New questions, let's see. Russia. Test new aircraft, let's see. Okay. The only other thing, it's a video that shows Russia's missing nuclear missile, and I'll make sure I put up a link to that. Like I said, it's going to take me probably a day. Let's see here. That's RT. I'm gonna put up. I'm not gonna play Dark Doc's video. I'll put up news links and stuff, but this guy's got his own channel and stuff, and I'm not gonna put it up, but I'll put a link up to his stuff so you can get a good. He did a good version of this story called "The Race to Find Russia's Lost Missile," and let's see here. Fact checked it. Russia's nuclear powered missile E something. That's, I don't know. Give me half a second. I'll find another link here that I had. Maybe I need history. That's what I'll do. Find it that way. So I try to put these links in a playlist to go for my lives, and I have to hunt them. Let's see where we're at, right? This one has got printed stuff up on it. That's RU News. RU News. And it's like typed in stuff on it. So, remains lost. They type stuff up on here. I'm gonna put a link to this also. And if they'll show the missile. There we go. So they tested, and I'm just gonna put the screen up here and we'll chat for a second. I'm gonna play some music in a bit, and then I'll get going. Okay, here's the thing. They tested 4 of those missiles, and one of them, they retrieved the other ones, but they go to their super secret base that's north of them that I told you about, and they shoot it back down towards the Barents Sea, and then there's another place that they use, and then they can drop them out of an airplane and show that they float for a little while for a good little PR picture thing. but then they got to go pick it up. So they got nuclear powered and filled with nuclear material missiles that don't fly. I think 20 seconds is the best. So they're supposed to be up for weeks at a time, but there's a problem with getting the nuclear reactor to start up and work, and then there's an issue where it changes from gasoline. It's a hybrid, like a Prius. It's like a Prius, people. It starts out with gasoline, right? That goes up in the air, and then it changes over to a nuclear reaction, and then the nuclear reactor is supposed to propel it for weeks or months or years or however long it wanted to fly it. Little problem with that though, because the reactor doesn't power it. And then I want to see if there's anything else I want to bring up. Anybody else want to talk about anything? I'm thinking that they're trying to, like I said, mess with us economically. And I think they want to take over our transmission lines. All of them. I think they've got a kill switch on them. Let's see, how am I late? You are late, but it's no worries. Look, I don't kick nobody out. You can sleep on the floor there, Mac. And hey, we'll throw a blanket on you. Nobody, like I said, I don't kick nobody out. I will be getting off this thing in a bit. I'm gonna stay on for a few more minutes here and let you guys make all the comments you want. But here's the thing: today was the deadline. So this thing with Iran, nothing was ever going to stop them from nuclear ambitions. They are wanting to pump people for money. They're wanting to threaten this and that, and then give us money. I don't know if we've captured those other 2 tankers with oil, or 3, I'm sorry, because I think it was a total of 4. Reuters did a good job and told us what was going on, and then British Royal Marines drop in and repel early morning hours out of a helicopter and basically took over a oil tanker that was an Iranian oil tanker that had a different name, a different company, run out of Singapore, I believe it was, and they had, let's see, a Panamanian flag, I believe it was. They were all over the place with names. Everybody's name but Iran was on that ship. They probably even had American flags sticking on it somewhere. They'll do everything they could just to hide it. And so they had oil that they went up to Iraq, and then to fake it and make it look like they had Iraq oil, they went up to Iraq, and there that went. And then they got oil after that. First, they, like I said, they went up to Iraq, and then let's see here. This guy, like I said, I'll put a link up to the channel. The words in here are better than any of it, so that's why I kind of dig what he's trying to do. But they took that ship and they basically floated it up there to Iraq, turned off the GPS, floated it over to Iran, filled up with oil, then magically turned on the GPS again, fully laden, and went way around the bottom of Africa to sneak it around. And they caught them at the down there off the coast of Gibraltar, because they showed the Rock of Gibraltar in that video, which that's why they showed it. They were like, hey, look, it's kind of like holding up a newspaper, say this is today. So they did that, and so they showed the Rock of Gibraltar, showed where it was at, and off the coast of Spain. And since Britain claims part of that down there as a territory, they said, look, we're saying that we're having sanctions as far as they were against the whole trade with Syria thing. But the thing with Iran just happened to fall into it. It's not like they took orders from the United States. They did what they were supposed to do. And it just happened to be one awesome thing, because it stops money from flowing into Iran's coffers that goes to proxy fighters that would hurt U.S. soldiers. So we're cutting off the enemy supply line just by doing that, whether it's on purpose or otherwise. It just happens to be a really good consequence. I love it. So let's see here. That's the Murmansk. Let's see. And I've got 1,000 things I could put up. I just want to make sure it's about this. And let's see here. And there's still the issue of the green disease in Russia. And I showed a part of that video. Don't know if I want to show that again on here. It's on my last live, but it was some weird stuff. And I don't know where to go with that. like I said, maybe I should play it again, because this is going to be in my history, and I'm down here close to it now. It's really weird. Let's see if I can find it real quick. That's Craig. This guy. This was, yeah, really, really, really weird. The new Russian green new disease. And I'll rewind it here and I'll make sure I get this. I don't want y'all to miss this, because this is coming to a world near you. Little kid's got little green disease on his face. I'm going to rewind it, because I'm going to go right here. Here. Pause it. Jesus, really? Hold tight. Let's try this again. It might work. I might have gone too far. Okay. They got it blurred out, but that baby's got green all over him. It's this man, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. It's like it's not gangrene though. See, you would think on your feet or on some type of an infection where you're like, if you have, say somebody had an accident and they for some reason got infected with gangrene, it would be like an appendage that's been cut, or it's not like an infection all over your body. This is not even gangrene either, and it's so bright green, it's like different. Gangrene's, I think, more of a black, kind of a whatever, like your foot's dead. This is just green. This is nuclear green. This is a new thing. So I'll turn the volume up. I mean, this could be coming to America. Who knows? I think that they use the word dump, talking about these people living in a dump of a house, but that gives no reason for this baby and for the father to have this. Somebody was saying they couldn't figure out why the mama didn't have it. Maybe she did, because she's in a wheelchair. You see what I'm saying? She's in a wheelchair. Has anybody noticed that she happens to be in a wheelchair? I think she's affected too. So, hold on, start over. Do you speak Russian? Have at it. The new Green Deal? That's where I wanted to pause it. Let's see if I can do that, people, because for real, I'm bringing it to you. Listen. Let's try this right about here. Okay, that, man, I'm good, right? Check that out. What the actual hell, people? This is green. Look. Nothing's that color green. Okay? You can't, it's hard to grow grass that green. Maybe Kimlon can get something that people don't get that green. This ain't normal, people. I don't care how you look at it. You can look at it sideways. They put them in an MRI too. What's an MRI got to do with testing? Do these people for real not know how to do a lab test? You're supposed to draw blood, test it for whatever. Check, you know, any urinalysis, anything would be better than MRI, but this baby is green, and the other people, I don't know how many, at least one, I think it was 2 different men, and that woman, because she's in a wheelchair.
В аэропорту Шереметьево ее маленькую, но такую стойкую и мужественную встречают десятки взрослых. Через несколько минут Аишу посадят в машину скорой и отвезут в больницу, где врачи уже готовятся встретить пациентку на теле.
In America, if we have that, it's going to be called the green nasty.
Не каждому взрослому под силу вынести.
Это укус, походу. Вот это укус. Вот это все шрамы, рубцы, эти старые.
По сведениям правоохранителей, все эти увечья, десятки шрамов, переломы, ожоги третьей степени и даже укусы появились у девочки по вине родной тети. С ней в Ингушетии Аиша жила последние несколько месяцев, потому что родители бросили. У матери новый роман, а отец, похоже, не очень-то интересовался судьбой дочери. Возможно, именно тетя Макка Ганиева довела ребенка до такого состояния, которое у медиков принято называть тяжелым.
Even the doctor wanted to wear something over his suit. Let me translate. I've been doing this 100 years. I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. This is nasty.
Говоря про ампутацию, Леонид Рошаль имеет в виду руку Аиши. Девочку избивали до такой степени, что не имели конечности. Ребенку операцию, одну из предстоящих серий, осторожны в прогнозах.
Я слушала разговор докторов, обнаруживая новые следы или старых ран, или переломов я слышала,
Russia,
как
if you want to know what
даже
scares us,
видавшие виды
the shit you shoot up in the air and winds up in your
ужасались,
ocean
были
don't scare us.
потрясены.
Эти
This,
кадры сделаны спустя несколько часов после того, как
Dad,
Аиша попала в
this
больницу в
scares us.
Ингушетии. Туда девочку
That's
привезла
nasty.
тетя. Видимо, поняла в какой-то момент, без помощи медиков ребенок не выживет. Макку Ганиеву там же и задержали. Правоохранители завели уголовное дело
What
по
the
статье
actual hell, right?
причинения тяжкого вреда здоровью. Тетя, с которой Аиша жила последние полгода, родственница по отцовской линии. Макка Ганиева замужем.
See, that's two different people than the other woman. I think they got 4
родители 7-летней Аиши.
patients at least. And then the one dude hugged the baby. He might have it now. They don't understand a good quarantine. Nothing beats a good quarantine. All right, I'll check out what here we
Конечно,
got.
возникает резонный вопрос. Если Макка Ганиева постоянно избивала Аишу, то почему молчали ее дети, супруг и соседи?
need to learn about
Неужели не
quarantine.
слышали криков о помощи и не
For
видели
real.
едва живого ребенка, а может быть просто
you
не
got
хотели
alien
видеть?
shit like that,
Вопросы
you
есть и
don't,
к местным
man.
органам опеки. По некоторой информации, Ганиева уже была судима за причинение тяжкого вреда здоровью. Антон Талпа и Андрей Бойко, телеканал «Звезда».
Yeah, John Pungo, whatever he said. Hold on. I'm gonna try to pause it back on.
В свои 7 лет Аиша лучше других знает, что такое одиночество и предательство самых близких. Она долгое время, день за днем терпела издевательства, но теперь все самое страшное.
That baby is green. Yeah. So let's see here. Oh, I appreciate that. Look at Bamboo helping me out, man. Bamboo, everybody subscribe to Bamboo Soldier. I help out. If I get 8,000 views on this channel, on this video, I don't care if I got 7 likes right now, and I appreciate that. I don't care if I stay at 7 likes. If I get 8,000 views on this channel, I like to see 8,000 y'all subscribe to Bamboo Soldier. He's putting up videos where he's like showing the ocean and stuff, and you know, the chemtrails and stuff, but he's showing some really cool stuff. He's just a chill dude. You can watch it and relax. Y'all subscribe to Bamboo. For real, Bamboo Soldier, he needs enough. He needs at least 1,000 subs so he can go live. Then he needs like 3,000 subs so he can monetize. And he's always helping people out in his channel. He's in everybody's channel. So y'all subscribe to Bamboo Soldier, the dude with the wrench right there. Okay, so let's see here. And I appreciate it. So I'm gonna read his comment. He put, yeah, it's a good listen from a great channel. Thank you, Trucking. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Y'all subscribe to Bamboo. He's always nice like that. DC, Laura Howdy. He always says hello to everybody in the room. Let's see. I'm listening while doing chores, rolling laughing here. Yeah, well, the green nasty ain't gonna be nothing. Listen. And I named it, so I want y'all to know that's green nasty disease. When they come up with a cure for green nasty, that's when them people is welcome here. In the meantime, I hope they stay in their little hut, their little whatever they got going on there, cardboard house. I don't care. Nothing against them. We like green people too. Everybody's welcome on this channel. I don't want green people making comments. Hold on a second. Let me just clear this up. Before I get 1,000 comments from the Green People Association of America or Green People United or Greenpeace or anything green or aliens for little green people, I don't have no problem with green people. I'm just simply saying that a good quarantine is called for in this instance, just this one alone. Okay, the rest of y'all green people, long as y'all ain't contagious, green it up. And the Hulk fan club, I don't want to hear from y'all either. So hold on a second here. Thank you. Let's see. People interested in 14 sailors who died story, possible cover up. That's how I found your channel. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna touch on that for a second. Look at the date I dropped the video. Look at the date that NBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, anything with a C in it, for God's sake. Anything with an N for news in it. It took them 3 days to catch up. They watched my video. They got intel from my video. And I'm fine with that, but I'm saying, and they gave me kind of a wink and a nod, saying other sources, you know, Fox did it, whatever. I broke that. Nobody knew it was the Losharic. Nobody knew what a Losharic was. I told them where the name came from in Russian. Nobody knew none of that. They knew about as much as this dude about green disease. That's what's up. You can take pictures of it, you don't know nothing. So, anyways, I put the pictures up on Twitter. Everybody blew it up, and I appreciate it. But just so you know, I broke that. Look at the date on my video. Look at what info I gave out. Look 3 days later when they catch up, hey, the Losharic was named after a cartoon, but they don't tell you. So I put a link to the cartoon. I did all that 4 days before any of them. They didn't know about them tapping the undersea cables. They knew none of that. There you go. So that's why people kind of like this, because I'm telling them ahead of time. So I appreciate that, DCCC. So let's see here. Much respect. It's similar. Good to see you, Laura. LL Green Nasty. Yeah, that's the Green Nasty. Don't call it nothing else. And I'm telling you, if you hear news sources calling it the Green Nasty, they watched my stuff. I'm just saying nobody's going to call it the Green Nasty. But I'm saying it should be called the Green Nasty. Let's see. Hi at Bamboo Soldier. Let's see. Can't see the date. Yeah. Look at the video. Here's what you do. You hit the top arrow so you can get to the description box on all my videos, because all my videos I put links in. You got to look at the links. The links are better than my lives. The links are better than my lives, for real. So people, click on the links. Okay, check on the links on all my videos. That's the Green Nasty. Look. So like I said, if you're in the Hulk fan club, I don't want, messages of comments or whatever you call it saying, Hulk unite or nothing like that. So what you do is, though, under every one of my videos, just under the video, there's an arrow that points up or something, and you click on it, it points down. That'll get you to all my links. It's called the description box. Links are in the description box. So it's not a comment, it's above that. Just on the video, click on the arrow down, and then it'll open up. And you scroll down for days because I got links like crazy. But at the same time, it's got the date that I dropped the video. It's my proof. Like, I don't have to sit up here and say today's date is this. I could. I might start. I thought about that in case they change that date. But you can look down there and it'll show the date. It was like the 1st of July or whatever. And everybody else is like the 3rd of July. So I dropped it on like the 1st. They dropped it on the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th. They're behind. So let me go into this here real quick. Why don't you just record on your device? I don't know what you mean by that, Vince. Record on my device? You lost me. I'm going live, because rather than take up a whole bunch of data on a data card, this is way easier, and I can get people in the room, and then they can comment on it, and then they want to be in on the news link. So, but this is the Green Nasty. I'm gonna play this again. Like I said, this could be coming our way. This could kill people. We don't know what this is. They don't know. Live's more fun. They're holding up phones. They don't even know.
Маленькую, но такую стойкую, мужественную встречают десятки взрослых. Через несколько минут Аишу посадят в машину скорой и отвезут в больницу, где врачи уже готовятся встретить пациентку из Ингушетии. На теле этого ребенка десятки ран. Она испытала такое, что не каждому взрослому под силу вынести.
Это укус, походу. Вот это укус. Вот это все шрамы, рубцы, эти старые.
По сведениям правоохранителей, все эти увечья, десятки
What the hell is that? You know what I mean? What are they doing to the people? Is this something that they tested out on some people? Is this some nuclear Chernobyl mess? People don't turn green. Look, contrary to popular belief, I'm going to say something. Nuclear radiation destroys and kills cells. It does not change them in a good way. There's no such thing as a Hulk. Godzilla, they did have one of them. They really did. And then he went back to the ocean. But he'd come back later. No, there's no such thing as Godzilla. There's no such thing as anything that's been affected by nuclear radiation that actually grows anything better. We die. We don't get better or bigger or stronger. Steroids is this temporary thing that makes your muscles grow, and then you lose all that mass. Look at the people who used to be big football players, and now they're like, 15 pounds and walking around, with something on their head because they lost their hair. That DECA and all that stuff makes your hair fall out. Listen, there's no nuclear good thing for you. There's nothing that would be good about being around nuclear radiation. So this right here, I got to show that where the guy, because they go through this kind of quick. the big old stripe on him, this stuff doesn't even really follow its own rules. See, it's not even, one is bulbous, which is a circle and a bulb. This one is a circle. This one's a circle, but it has a stripe to the one thing. And then look, it don't even follow its own rules. It's all the way across him in a strip. Ah, man, it's across his chest in a, like, see that big old thing there? That's a straight line. This stuff is not even following its own rules. You see what I'm saying? It has no rules. It'll just infect everything, and it's all up in his arm and stuff. Wow. You know, what kind of antibiotics do you need for that? Is that stuff resistant? I mean, we worry about TB. That's why we need Ellis Island. Some of this green nasty stuff might come up through our southern border. Forget about people that might have bad intentions. Diseases go through good people. They need to, for real, build that wall. Build the wall 10 foot higher now. You see what I'm saying? So let's see here. Some sort of other exposure cause they didn't know radiation would make them flesh green. No, it shouldn't. Some kind of bad. Yeah, this is some full-on nasty. Hiroshima to right down the coast. Let's see. Yeah, so like I said, I'll let it keep playing. This is just funky town, man. Whoa, that was a good view of it. Hold on. That was a kind of a view of that stripe on that dude's side. Like I said, in one way it's bulbous, in another way it's a circle. And it's not like it doesn't look like it works like ringworm, which is a type of, it's not a worm, it's a type of a bacteria that goes into a circle, like a C shape or something, or an O. It's bulbous, but it's a whole area, and then it's like a big old long stripe.
Укусы появились у девочки по вине родной тети. С ней в Ингушетии, а 8 месяцев потом тети с ней в Ингушетии. Аиша жила последние третьей степени даже у...
You know what, like I said, it's difficult to... That's the big bulb thing on him. Okay? And then there's the big stripe on his side right there. And then on this side. And then that thing. Go back to where I found the other. This. All the way around his side it is. It's hard to show. It's all the way around his side. I'm worried for this dude. I don't think he's going to live through that. That big long thing and then those dots up here. It don't even have rules.
Девочки по вине родной тети. С ней в Ингушетии Аиша жила последние несколько месяцев, потому что родители бросили. У матери новый роман, а отец, похоже, не очень-то интересовался судьбой дочери. В итоге, возможно, именно тетя Макка Ганиева довела ребенка до такого состояния, которое у медиков принято называть тяжелым.
Like put a lock right there. That's not quarantine. That's not a plastic sheet until they figure out what's going on and burn everything.
Пока нельзя. Потому что кровоток нарушен очень значительно.
Говоря про ампутацию, Леонид Рошаль имеет
Translation, I ain't never seen no shit like this.
Избивали до такой степени, что не имели конечности. Ребенку провели операцию, одну из предстоящей серий, но даже специалисты страны осторожны в прогнозах.
Я слушала разговор докторов, обнаруживая новые следы.
What is that, a green face and a diaper? You need a diaper after that? I don't know what the thing is next to that. It's something. Oh, a monkey with the hands on it. Yeah.
Эти кадры сделаны спустя несколько часов после того, как Аиша попала в больницу в Ингушетии. Туда девочку привезла тетя. Видимо, поняла в какой-то момент, без помощи медиков ребенок не выживет.
Down on his ankle, some kind of craziness. Strips, stripes and stuff, right? On his arm, that thing going on. Up here, green nasty. Green nasty here, green nasty there, green nasty there. They had another dude with the stripe on the other side. I think it was another dude. That's why I think it's more than one person. Dots up here, that bulb, the baby, and then he don't even want to hug the baby, but he had to hug the baby.
Неожиданно для нас в том, что мы нашли.
I'm telling you, you only see this on Trucker Stuff. It's only my channel. I bring it to you, people. that might be coming here. So if you get some green nasty,
Конечно, возникает резонный вопрос, если
Golly.
Марка Ганиева постоянно избивала Аишу, то почему
It's gotta be
молчали ее
airborne.
дети,
I wouldn't be no
супруг и
part of that
соседи?
group
Неужели
there
не
without a
слышали
full-on
криков о помощи и не
biological
видели живого ребенка, а может быть просто не
with
хотели
SCBA
видеть? Вопросы есть и к местным
breathing
органам опеки. По
apparatus.
некоторой информации, Ганиева уже была судима за причинение тяжкого вреда
That's got to be bad
здоровью.
for tourism. I wouldn't even
Болтал
tell
Андрей
for
Бойко,
real.
телеканал «Звезда».
Anyway, so yeah, green baby, green kid, green dude. It's like an area over. I don't know, man. I wish I could. Like I said, I wish I could translate this for real. I don't speak Russian. If anybody speaks Russian, yeah, I'll put this link in the description. I put another one. You know, he doesn't want to hug the baby. Yeah, he has to. Well, did you see that part? The baby kind of come up. I'll put the link in the description. You can watch it. This is scary. I mean, it's one of the things where it's like the Russians want to say that they're so smart, but they got stuff going on there. They don't even know what it is. You know, did aliens come down and hit them people with some stuff, try to turn them into mutants or what do they call that? What do you call it? Hybrid or something? I ain't gonna say I believe in that. I'm just saying something ain't right, and we're normally not green, people. There's something to that. That looks like some people algae or something. Green nasty. So watch out for green nasty. Just know what's going on in Iran. Know what's going on with the subs, and they're even taking older subs, by the way. Nostrovia, that's it. Well, Bamboo, here's a new word for you. If you get that stuff right there, you'll be kaputnik. How about that? No lie. So, yeah, so check this out. So they're actually taking, though, Russia is selling their submarines to India, and India is not believing they're going to be safe now. The ink is still wet on the contract that would be, you know, high dollar. We're talking billions on that nuclear powered sub, and they're like, they don't want a part of it now because they see what's going on. And yeah, Kaputnik, yeah. So that's hashtag Kaputnik. I'm gonna have to hashtag Kaputnik. So the green nasty will make you Kaputnik. If you translate it says the kid was beaten, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's tricky for India. Yeah, so India it can't trust it. It's untrustworthy, and so that is Russia's bread and butter, is selling their arms to other countries. That's where they're making their money, because it's the only thing they've got really they can export. They maybe have had some other exports, but it's not like very, very lucrative for them, you know. And so it'll kind of hurt them. I mean, everybody wants the SU-300. Now they're trying to sell the SU-400. I'm sure they're making money off that. But there's an issue where the SU-300, I want to say that there's a couple of allies that we've got that the problem is we got airplanes that fly over there too, you know, and something just happened to the stream, who knows. But we got airplanes that fly over there too, and we don't want to be identified under the friend or foe system. You know, they can mess with stuff if we, you know, deal with some of the countries that are supposed to be our allies, but they're running that stuff. That went off. I'll turn it back on. Green nasty. Let's see here.
Свои 7 лет Аиша лучше других.
Anyway. So, like I was saying, the weapon systems they have might be able to, what's the word, hack or give information back to Russia or whatever. As far as there's a friend or foe system that, you know, doesn't shoot at our planes, and so we kind of want the Patriot system down there. And they're selling the SU-300 and 400 to everybody, and now they're upgrading it to the 400. The 200, 300 was a piece of crap that was no good for shooting unless you had like pelicans or a bunch of geese invading your country, because they could hit slow-moving stuff, and that's about it. And they were off, and the radar was crazy. Now they've got, you can add on stuff and buy different kinds of radars and whatever. And so the 400 is a decent system, but nothing's perfect, and they're selling that everywhere, making money. Let's see. Found it in English. Oh, you found it in English? Hey, that's pretty cool. There's your link in English, people. I'll check it out later. I can't click on it from here, but you know, because I'd have to get into the live of the other thing, and it's not hooked up like that. I don't have my laptop and all that. And I will get my laptop, and I know that the doctor in Texas wants, for me to find where he put a link to his stuff. And so anyways, yeah, people, so we got, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on, and they're still fishing for their missing nuclear missile. And they still got a nuclear sub under there, and they got like 52 rusty nuclear subs that are, just waiting to leak. They've got enough for 90 nuclear reactors to have waste in one building that's been leaking lately. And also, hey, appreciate that. Yeah, drop links, people. That's how we get the word out. And yeah, there's a flesh-eating virus that killed a woman that visited a Florida beach. That was, of course, because anytime your immunity is down, you can get affected by anything, but just it being there is scary. And then there was, I want to say, was it Dominican Republic? Like I said, I don't want to throw a country under the bus, but I think it was the Dominican Republic. One of them had a problem where those tourists went down there, and it was a woman and a man. They laid down in the bed. I see, that's the old tanker joke. Woke up dead. They actually died. And it's nothing funny about it. I'm saying tankers say you might wake up dead, something happens, you'd be sleeping. Well, this was something where they caught something, or something happened, or something, and people are likening it to Ebola, but that's not Ebola. Ebola is something where you got time. One guy walked a couple of, I don't know how many, 5 miles, because he didn't want to have nobody go with him or drive him and them get it too, and he so-called beat Ebola, which they found even people that beat Ebola still have it in their eyeball tissue. They've been tested, so there's even Ebola, people who have so-called beat it. Like there was one woman that was a doctor, I think, a guy that was a doctor for sure, a couple of doctors down there, but they've got a place that they can up your levels of water and that kind of stuff, keep you hydrated with different solutions and stuff, keep your electrolytes up. But even if you beat it, I think for the rest of your life, you're still able to infect people, because they found it in people's eyeball tissue, living Ebola, in people that have already been. So I don't think there is ever going to be a cure for it. And they're trying to say that they have a vaccine for it, and they were giving that out. I don't believe that. Because there was a war down there, and I want to say it was a Congo, maybe it was the Democratic Republic or what, Democratic Republic of Congo, I believe it was, where they had to pull out because the guerrillas were going a little bit, haywire there, and the guerrillas destroyed some hospitals and stuff. That Ebola, I think, was in that area. So if it gets them, well, then they'll get it. But then that spreads it even more. It started with bats. Bats had it. Somebody ate some bat that wasn't cooked all the way. I think it was a grandfather that wound up cooking it for the granddaughter. He got sick and died from it. She got sick, and I think that maybe she beat it, but she spread it to another village. Something weird happened. That's how that strain of that Ebola stuff got spread around. And let's get that back on. And then, well, there's Doc again. So I'll leave it there. So anyways, on the Ebola thing, that's something that I believe is still within that country, but something's going on where it wasn't just the woman and man died. Because yes, they got it and they died, but then another dude got it and died, and then another one. I think there was a total of 5 or 6 people so far that they go down there on vacation and they die. So, I don't believe it's Ebola. They're dying too quick. Either it's some kind of poison, or it's a new disease, like this green nasty. So, people, I'm gonna turn on some music for a sec. You guys can stay for a bit, and I'm gonna start up some stuff to get my day going. And let's see, put this on the back speakers here and mess with the spotification of it all. AI hates bass, by the way, people. I hope you know that. In case you really want to mess with it at any time, throw some of that up in the internet. It confuses it. And they hate that I tell you that, by the way. Rear 14. I'm going to turn this bass down a bit to about right there. Anyways, so we're dealing with threats in a lot of different places. There was something else too. trying to think of what else happened. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about is Russia's actually taking their older nuclear subs in order to have more of those Losharic kind of things. And I guess they're taking the shell and maybe rebuilding them because they're still under sanctions. They're still tight on money. I mean, of course, the leadership's rich because they've taken the money from the oligarchs and shut them down and took their companies. But the country itself, to have like lots of money for military, is not got the budget that it used to, and just to maintain their military and have fuel for it costs a lot. So yeah, they're shooting off new stuff all the time, but they don't really have the money for it. And they're running themselves thin doing it. So I think that they are building more of, like I said, I know and I've heard that they are taking older submarines and refitting them with those bulbs inside of them, those round spheres, so that they can go down to low depths. And I think their thing is they're going to build a whole bunch of Losharics, and that being used as a general term, that is the name of the one submarine, but it's the name of a Soviet era cartoon that was made of a whole bunch of juggling balls and also one balloon, or two balloons, I'm sorry, in the middle. So that's what I put up to as a link to it. Actually, you know what? We got nothing going on. I'm gonna give you that real quick. This is what it is. Why not, right? And my video got more than CNBC. I thought that was awesome. Or CBSN, that's what it was. Got more views than them. They're like a major, they've got bandwidth, they've got all kinds of things. So let's see here. Here's that one. And I'll go to the link. Now, I'm not going to play the audio on it, but I'll show you what it is. Let's see. This is what the Losharic was named after, and what they're building all of their different subs based on, is a cartoon. So it's a circus. The guy was a magician. This is a Soviet cartoon from like a long time ago. He was a magician. He really wanted to be an animal trainer, but because he didn't have an animal, they wouldn't let him be an animal trainer. And so, and I've got sub captions and all this stuff, but you'll be able to see it. And I've got a link to the one that's without the captions and all. Like I said, this is like super old. This thing's like, they want to talk about stuff rusting. I mean, you know, but it's claymation. So they're saying they detected some copyright stuff here. Juggling balls. I'm just going to go into this real quick. Let's see if I can show it. That is the Losharic in a nutshell. That's what a Losharic is. It's all of the juggling balls. It came to life and it said, hey, you can train me. And it's like a horse, but it's balls, okay, and a couple of balloons in the middle. It was the magician's juggling balls. So it was a Soviet era cartoon that Russia liked and they endeared. And so because there's all these spheres, that they've figured out a way to make a submarine go down into deep pressure, deep waters that's high pressure, 20,000 feet plus at this point, because we don't know what their limitation is. But I know that they picked up stuff off of the floor, the ocean floor, at 8,202 feet, I believe it was. They have said that its working depth is 19,000 feet. Another guy said 20,000 feet. I got a video link on that. I had to find it. But he was one of the people who designed it and helped build it. And so it has all these ball spheres. It's made of these spheres inside of them that are titanium. And they're all connected. but that's what makes it be able to handle those pressures. And the steel on the outside of the ship, I'm sure, flexes, but it's still made to be watertight. So what they do is they're retrofitting older submarines also that are sitting there rusting and mothballed and whatever, and they're making them all into this, is my understanding. They're like cutting them open, put this in there, re-weld them, make sure everything's good, and slap them on the back and send them out with their crappy battery systems, which catch on fire, in case you didn't hear. Let me go back to where that's the Losharic jumping around. Hold on a second here. There you go. That's Losharic. So now that you know how it was named and why it was named that, you know, it's a horse, supposedly. Let's see here. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what they named the Losharic after. And the news media didn't know that. Nobody knew that till I put up what it was and put the links up. And then they didn't know that it was, you know, nuclear. I told them, you know, it's atomic with an A. It's A-T-O-M-I-K with a K in it. Atomic, but it's atomic. The AS, they've got a 28. They've got all kinds of numbers. Evidently, they've got 0 through 30. That was, you know, that was that one, you know, the Losharic. So they are all built like a Losharic, but they have different amount of spheres. Some of them have 3 spheres. Some of them have 2. I think they have the one small one might be as little as 1, because that little robotic one might be made of titanium in a sphere like that. It might just be one little ball. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 5. I think they jump from 3 to 5, and then they have a 6, and then they have a 7. Originally, the plans for the Losharic that had 6 on it, it's actually 7. The gears are in the back, then the nuclear, then places for people, you know, and it shows people, and that's why I showed the thing on my last community picture I put up that I was going live. And then they have a robotic, a smaller submarine that goes out from it. They have a way to go down with it. It's like a crane and pick things up. They have lighting, and they have those deep diving suits, but they don't really use those so much on those mini subs. Those mini subs, they have those little things on the robotic one that can cut cables, undersea cables. They can plant mines under them to come back for later, and they can put in what I would call a kill switch, which is, you know, just a, hey, let's turn off the internet, and hey, let's turn it back on kind of thing. Not something that actually cuts. There's some crazy stuff, but they were off the east coast of the United States, and a lot of them, and so they just released that info and put it on that news report, and so that's why I put it up on that one from India. And you just don't hear this on regular news, you know, and you don't get to hear about horses made of balls, right? Only on my channel. So I didn't make this stuff up. Like I said, I can't possibly make this up. Let's see, JK Bug Out channel covers 1 pet goat, 2 video, a lot of hidden messages in it, possible current events. Let's see, he was certainly why mainstream media will not cover 14 sailors. Well, mainstream media didn't have anything they didn't have any information to use until they watched my video. Like I said, I've got like 8,000 now, about 10,000 now, but it's showing 8,500 something on the Losharic video with the black sub on the picture and the nuclear symbol in the ball, the black sub. And they've got CNBC put up a video that before that had no intel in it, whatever. They only got 6,000 views. People were like, it's garbage, and they can't even, like I said, they didn't know. Then they put out a later one after they watched what I put up that said, hey, they might be messing with the undersea cables. Yeah, they are. And so it's one of the things that, you know, you gotta, you know what you know, you put it up, and then you see other people, and then they appreciate what I'm doing. So like I said, I got a kind of a wink and a nod from Fox saying, hey, we have heard from other sources that say that this and that's going on and whatever. Yeah, because they didn't know. You know, they didn't know what a Losharic was. They didn't even know it was an AS-12. First, they said it was they said it was a submarine. They didn't know it was the super secret spy submarine. Then they didn't know if it was nuclear or not. The A in the title makes it nuclear, atomic with a K. Then they didn't know that it was what it was doing. And then I put it up, and then they said, oh, now there's questions. There's no question. They know what they were doing. They've been seeing them off the East Coast forever, and then they admitted to that. So this one, though, I think, is one of the ones that is going around and going over towards England and off of the coast of Norway and listening in on those undersea transmissions. I think they've got shifts going down there to do it now. But then at the same time, like first, second, third shift. But at the same time, they're also looking for a missing nuclear missile. So it crashed into the Barents Sea. So, I'm going to drink of water. You want to make a couple comments? Go ahead, people. And then I'll be getting out of here. Appreciate you showing up. I've got a lot more. I've got a lot more I can put up. And quite a few things, especially, we'll talk about the on-off kill switch that Russia may have. I'm not going to say may or may not. I'm going to say may have on the undersea transmission lines that might kill internet and all types of communique between the U.S. and Europe. You know, I'll go into some stuff. But they are taking older ships and refitting them with that, and basically using the hull and gutting them. And there's a bunch of nuclear ones sitting out there that they can't even touch. And you know, they're showing one thing, but they're broke. You know, just like the power went out on that. So, give you a view of the truck stop. That's your fixing to be your view. I didn't want to mess up the video by showing this. Let's see here. Because they mess with the view. Let's see what we got here. Much appreciated, trucking. I see a lot of knowledge and about your perspective. Man, I appreciate you, man. I like your channel. Look, and we all start with like one view and one subscriber, so I hope it helps. Everybody subscribe to Bamboo Soldier, if you didn't hear me say that earlier, because he's just trying to do a little something. Everybody's trying to do a little something. I'm trying to bring you what's going on, because you're not getting it. If you were getting what's going on, the news media wouldn't be coming to my stuff finding out what's going on, and then they'd be putting it up and you'd be able to find it, and this wouldn't be something you didn't know about already. So this is Operation Hot Biscuit. I'm a digital soldier, and I had to have an operation name. And the thing is, I try to bring it to you when it's a hot biscuit, because I don't know if you've ever had a biscuit made from some of these places that make them with grease. When they're cold, they get hard as a rock and they're useless. So it's like useless knowledge. You know what I mean? So yeah, we all got to start somewhere and figure out who we are in a way. Yeah, it's kind of like that too. I already know who I am. I'm well trained and versed in what I'm able to do, and even though I'm using wing and a prayer, I'm gonna call it the low budget. Man, I'm telling you, this video was brought to you by Paracord. I have, oh, by the way, thank my sponsors. I don't have any sponsors, but my upside down from the ceiling, my my tripod broke in the middle. I mean, just broke. I gotta get another tripod. That's all there's to it. But right now, it's held together with Paracord, and it seems kind of happy. So we'll see what happens on that. But let me zoom out a bit here, give you a little bit better view, and then move that out the way too. Yeah, so for anybody that doubts I'm a trucker, it's real, people. So yeah, we're looking at crazy times ahead too with, I'm telling you, Israel is not going to let that fly, and they are good at what they do. So I hope this was informative, at least, by the way, and thanks for showing up, people, man. That's awesome of you guys. And it's one of the things where you go to sleep at night and you wake up and there's more news the next day. Well, this is stuff they could have been telling you, but they didn't. And let's see, how's your weather looking in the clear? Yep. And by the way, I'll tell you, like Art Bell used to say, he used to say where he was coming from, like he would say in the high desert, or coming to you from, what did he say, somewhere in the Midwest and this kind of stuff. I'm somewhere in the Midwest. There you go. So Iowa is nice, by the way, and so is Indiana, so somewhere between. And I got to get it there, people, so I'm gonna let you go. Y'all have an awesome day, or night, depending on where you're at. And hey, share my video and share the intel. And I got a lot more to come, people. This is never ending. Let's see, bus driver here in Houston. Okay then, DDCC. Hey, if you're a bus driver, and if you're ever going to be a truck driver, or even just driving a bus, at least check out the video on a turbo boot and turbo boot clamp. Look in both my playlists. Look in good night, yeah, okay, icon. Appreciate you showing up. And check out my playlist on fix-it vids and trucking tips. Those two will help you to be a better driver. That was most of the reason I started my channel, was to help drivers, because they teach you how to drive a truck, they hand you a CDL, you're legal to do it, but you don't know everything you should know about driving a truck. You don't. And it's stuff that could make you freeze to death and be on the side of the mountain and die because you just didn't know you could have a turbo boot, or you could have, you know, man, there's a lot of parts. I got to get into a part video and a tool video. This reminded me of that. It's just been, I've been running. So people, have a good one. I'm getting off this thing. You don't have to leave. Nobody's gonna kick nobody out. You can sleep right down there on the floorboard. We'll throw a blanket on you. But I gotta go. I'm out. So y'all stay safe. I'm out of here. Peace.